Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar with RecycleSmart. I'm Leila, one of the campaign managers here at Birchal. Just before we get started, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land I'm based on today. Birchal is based on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and we pay our respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. Birchal is working with RecycleSmart in a crowdsourced funding alpha. The information discussed here today is for informational purposes only and should not be considered as a device or as a recommendation to invest. Please always consider the offer doc that is already available and the general CSF risk warning before investing, available on birchal.com. Let me explain how today's session is going to run. It's a little bit different from the ones that we normally do. Since we have a lot of new investors that investing on Birchal for the first time, I'm going to start with a quick introduction of Birchal and how to invest. Then Giorgio is going to give us an introduction of the business for around 10 minutes, and Ricky will give us a live tour of the city main consolidation point so we can see how everything works behind the scenes. As usual, we're going to switch to a Q&A session afterwards. So if you look at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you can see a little Q&A bubble. If you have a question during the session, just pop it in the box and we'll answer at the end. Lastly, we are recording today's session, so if you have to jump off early, a recording will be sent over. So let me go ahead and share my screen. The main question that we get is, what is the difference between an EOI campaign and the offer campaign? Essentially, the EOI is an expression of interest that goes for around 3 or 4 weeks, and we call this a marketing campaign. It's essentially where the company can check how many people are interested in investing, how much they would like to invest, and I'm sure that all of you here today already expressed interest before, and you can see that we always ask, how much would you invest in this business, just before seeing all the information in the offer doc. For the company, is an important step, as it gives them an understanding of the market, what is the interest out there, and how much they'll be able to raise. For the investor, is a great opportunity for you to learn more about the company's history, watch the pitch video, see the company profile, attend a webinar like this, so you can ask all the questions before you actually go ahead and make a decision. Right now, we already closed the EOI, we opened the offer, so if you already expressed interest before, the offer is open for you and you can check all the documentation. How do you invest? I put it step by step here, but it's very easy to use the platform. We also have a live chat on the side. So if anything is not working or you're not sure, please just go ahead on the chat and we're going to help you out. But essentially, you sign up and log in on the platform. You can see the CSF offer document and risk warning. You can download, check all the information about the business. Once you click I agree, continue, you can enter your details, essentially full name, address, and investor type. If you're not sure about the investor type, I'm going to talk a little bit about it, but again, we have the live chat for that. And then you select your investment amount and rewards. This offer is offering rewards. So of course, when you invest, you're getting the shares, but alongside the shares, the company is offering some rewards. Then you submit your ID information for all the verification process and you authorize the payment. We have plenty of different payment methods. You can just choose the one that is best for you. Do you have to pay for the shares straight away? We always get this question as well when you're going to receive your shares. If you invest now over the private investment offer, which started today and is going to close on Thursday, you just have to pay once the offer is closed. So in the meantime, you can just put your investment offer there, but we're not going to get the investment straight away. If you invest after, so after Thursday, as soon as you invest, you pay for the investment as well. If you're a retail investor, you can invest up to and including $10,000 per company per year. So if you invested in this company last year, please be mindful of this number as well. As a wholesale investor, you can invest over $10,000 or as much as you like in any company. Joe, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Leila. All right, let me share my screen and a quick deck to explain what we're doing here. So we are RecycleSmart, George, and this is the fastest growing waste company in Australia, and we want to tell you how we got there. It all started, honestly, trying to offer a new service, and it was basically collecting items from your own house We piloted the first few months driving a scooter around the eastern suburbs of Sydney. So it was very hands-on and it was a lot of fun. And it was a great way to test our idea. After that, we went through an accelerator program with one of the biggest biggest incubator in Australia, which is Antler. And since then, now we have more than 60 drivers driving across the country in different states, collecting waste from your own house or office. We actually successfully raised $1 million last year with Birchal, and that's why this year we're back to run another investment round and to get the funds to expand even quicker and in other areas of Australia. The problem is that recycling is in a critical situation. Some of you might know, soft plastics is not possible to recycle soft plastics in most of Australia. There's no solutions out there. We're probably one of the very few that you can use to get rid of soft plastics. Councils have a target of achieving 80% diversion. That means sending 80% of waste not to landfill by 2030, but they are way shorter than that. They're doing 62% today. And we know that there are a lot of items that if you put them in any bin, they might create a lot of issues and damage, including fires. For example, batteries into a waste truck can create fires. You might have seen it on TV. The whole truck can burn, and it's an ecological and of course, economical disaster as well. RecycleSmart reduce the risk of contamination in bins. We collect all the items that you should never put in any bin. Recycling is confusing. It's inconvenient. It's not very transparent. Sometimes you have to look for information like on a PDF on a council webpage, which is not exactly consumer friendly. And more than anything, the main issue in waste is contamination. It is basically putting the wrong item in a bin. That creates, as we said before, batteries in any bin can create fires. Soft plastics in any bin, especially the yellow one, will create issues in transfer station where all the different containers and paper are separated from each other. If you have soft plastics flying around, all of these creates issues with all the machinery that is actually moving waste through this whole processing plant. We basically collect 4 different categories of waste. Soft plastics, which is anything you can scrunch up. Clothes and accessories, so anything you can wear. E-waste, which for our definition is basically anything with electricity, right? From anything you have at home that works on energy, basically. And then a long list of random items. And the long list of random items are things like polystyrene, household batteries, blister packs, coffee pods, and so on. It's a very long list. And there is all of these items don't have really a recycling solution if you put them in any bin. We have partnerships with a lot of processors that can do something if they have enough quantities to process. At the moment, we're serving 3 different channels. So B2C consumers, so people paying for the service to have the service at their own home. B2B offices, so basically having collecting from offices and companies. And then basically B2G, which is collecting from councils, right? Or basically on behalf of councils. So in case of B2G, we are collecting from residents' home, paid by the council, or large quantities from council's drop-off location, like recycling centers and community recycling centers, basically. The same we do for B2B. So we have some clients, some corporate, they would use small quantity, they would book small quantities for their own office or large quantities for their operations. Like if they run a logistic company might have a lot of soft plastics and so on. How does it work? It's quite simple. You put everything together in a single bag without worrying about sorting. You go online, you download our app or you go on the website and you book a pickup. Our drivers will do the rest. Will come to your own house, pick up the bag in front of your door, empty the bag in their own car. They have a whole a whole set of things that they use to sort all of these items out. They will return the bag in front of your door. And mine, it can be one of our beautiful pink bags, or it can be any bag you have at home, any grocery shop bag that you might have at home. They will return the bag in front of your door and they will move to the next pickup. At the end of the round, we'll just basically go to a recycling center, one of our different warehouses that we have, and they will divide all the items, right? So put them in the right bin. We're basically using independent drivers that are paid per task, and we're basically using leveraging the gig economy. It's the same as Uber, right? So they have their own car, and we pay them per task. Drivers would not only collect the items, but measure as well the volume, what's inside, and so on. So we actually have a lot of data coming out of our collections. The market is huge. As you might be aware of, waste is a huge industry, worth $15 billion in Australia, $1 trillion global, and we believe that we have a $100 million opportunity in this space, specifically in the Australian market. The team, we have 50 people working with us in the headquarters, plus 60-something drivers across Australia. Happy to dig into this later, but all of us pretty much will dig in and be available at Q&A later to reply to specific questions. Just talking about traction, we are working now in 71 different local government areas across the country. We had a 250% increase year on year, which is great. 29,000 people using our service today, and we're doing now $2 million in revenue. $2 million in revenue with two very interesting numbers. 45% gross margins, so we're giving 55% of what we invoice to our drivers. And of the 45%, there is another, we still have 25% operating margins, which is basically once you remove the cost of running these warehouses where we sort all the items, we still have 25% margin on our revenue. Again, just to celebrate for a second what we achieved in the last year, we did 200,000 pickups today, with 800,000 kilograms collected today, and 500,000 bags of items that we picked up, not with a scooter. We work with a lot of brands across Australia. As you can see, John Holland, logistic company, we collecting bulk soft plastics from them. Canva, we servicing their own offices. Google as well. Marley Spoon, we're helping their customers recycling soft plastics and cardboard, big cardboard. We're even collecting now packaged food from your house, and we're donating it to Ozharvest. So if you have anything that is close to expiry date that is packaged, you can put in our bag, and we'll make sure it gets donated to Ozharvest to support people in need. Moving forward, we have great customer reviews. We have great Google reviews, great reviews on Google. And as you can see, some of our clients are quite happy with what we do. Just to celebrate for a second different milestones, we've been working with Marley Spoon, so basically supporting Marley Spoon customers in recycling all the packaging that comes. So Marley Spoon does food boxes where you can just collect your food and cook. We're helping their customers recycling all this packaging that comes with it. Charities, we're supporting Ozharvest with food donation. And councils, we are servicing at the moment just one, Wurundjeri Caribbean Council is one of the many councils we work with. And we are collecting all the items from their own recycling center. How are we going to use the funds for? So we're going to use the money for four main things. One is to add fuel to our engine growth. As we did last year, we raised $1 million, and we actually increase our revenue by $1 million, which is a great story. So we put $1 million in, we got $1 million out of revenue, and it's growing, which is great. We need to grow our tech team that is supporting the growth that we're seeing in terms of users. Expanding from a geographical point of view. So not only from a B2C, but B2B as well. So being available to more offices, customers, and councils across Australia. We are launching, just to be clear, we're launching in WA, in Tasmania, and ACT by August 1st. So we're going to be across the whole country by August 1st. And is to increase the type of things that we collect. Today, we're collecting a very long list of items, but we are already branching out in bigger and larger things that we can take from your house. And we can ensure that they get recycled properly. I love the washing machine there. It is giving a little bit of a hint of where we're trying to go. Happy to dig into this later in the Q&A, but basically we are aiming to get to break even by the end of the next financial year, so in 12 months from now. And the goal is to have a $10 million in operating profit by in 3 financial years from now, so FY27. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Giorgio. We're going to hand over to Ricky, who is our head of operations, and he's currently in our main consolidation point in Sydney, and he's going to be giving you a tour. Over to you, Ricky.
Thanks, Eugenie, and thank you everyone for joining the webinar today. I guess we can start from this side of the consolidation point. This is where we store the clothes and textiles. So these are like 15 kilos bags. We go through probably 50 or 60 of those every week, and we work with different op shops, charities, and also textile recyclers, which they will come and collect it once or twice a week as well. Here on this side, still with the same partner recyclers, we just keep separate the homeware, the toys, and the books for them. This is mainly obviously stuff that gonna go through op shops in particular. Then jumping over here, we have all the bottle and cans, so the 10 cents. This is a great way for customers to earn some credit back into their account so that they can use it towards an extra bag that they might need collected, and they will get obviously 10 cents per bottle or can when we collect it. So then over here, we have one of the most popular items we collect is full of blister packs over there as well. So our partner recycler will separate the plastics from the aluminum. And yeah, again, massive volumes of blister packs, which is great to see that people love to recycle with us. Here in this corner, we have like a variety of small items from cosmetics to the coffee cups. That's a classic coffee cups that you might find also, you know, the program Simply cups that you might find in shopping malls and other public areas. We have X-rays that that go to Ecocycle as well. We have a couple of bins, and they will come and collect it when they're full. Here we have printer cartridges, yoga mats. I'm gonna go through quickly here because it's small items and sometimes small volumes, like can carriers. We work with a local business that reuse them. Contact lenses and glasses. This is also our partner at Opticycle, which then obviously divide the glass from the plastics. Over here, another big item, big volume item is electronics. As you can see, there's big volumes, and we go through probably like 6 of these cages every week. They kindly come and collect it and swap over the cages for empty ones once a week. Then down here we have our coffee pods kind of recycling station through Nespresso. All the aluminum coffee pods are collected here. At the moment we have like about 10 full. This is all the metal that we collect that we keep separate, you know, stainless steel, black iron, and aluminum. Our partner recycler is just down here as well, Selene Parker, and we drop it off every couple of weeks. This is mainly cookware and, you know, stainless steel bottle we collect from residents. Then over on this side of the warehouse, we have the bulky items from, you know, polystyrene over here. We go through like probably again 50 cubic meters just from this side every week. They just come and collect it, but they could only fill, you know, like they filled up the truck and only collected half of the stuff we had here. And then obviously here the soft plastics as well. Each one of those pallets is about 600 kilos. Booby, our, you know, warehouse manager here, does a great job in baling everything. This cage here is for the drivers. When they arrive with their vehicle, they'll drop all the bags in here, which then they're going to get baled. As you can see, we have 3 balers there, and Booby, like, it's just actually finished one of the bales. So as you can see, like, one of those ones is like 250 kilos, and this is basically how it works. That's basically how it happens, like full, and then we just put it on a pallet, and then it's ready to go. We pack it up with the rest over there as well. So then to finish here, we have the battery station. Thank you to Ecocycle. This is all the vapes that we collect. Again, like a lot of people recycling vapes, which is great to see. This is our fireproof cage for batteries. This holds about 600 kilos. It's actually almost full and is about to be collected. And then on this side here, we have all the lead acid batteries, so car batteries, scooter batteries as well. And this is all done through our partners Ecocycle, which actually Rhiannon is here with us today, and she can give you a bit more of an understanding of their operations and what they do. So I'll hand it over to you, Rhiannon, and thank you everyone for being with me today.
Awesome. Thank you, Ricky. I'm just going to share my screen for Rhiannon and introduce Rhiannon here. So thank you for joining us, Rhiannon. Rhiannon works at Ecocycle, and she will take you through a bit of the process of what happens to things that they collect from us. So I'm just going to put my screen. Yep. All right. The floor is yours, Rhiannon. We can't hear you. Little tech quiet, because we could hear you before. It looks like you're muted.
Is that working now?
Yes, it is working. Brilliant.
Sorry about that. Yeah, my name's Rhiannon. I'm from Ecocycle. We have partnered with RecycleSmart, as Ricky said, to assist them with some of those items that are quite difficult to recycle. Next slide, please. So a bit of background about us. So Ecocycle and our subsidiary Ecobat, we're a national recycling company. We started off specialising in mercury waste, which then led to battery and e-waste recycling. The bigger background of our business is we started off with our company RecycleSmart, which is a scrap metal company. So that is a scrap metal company. So a lot of our work does revolve around extracting those metals and anything that can be reused and filtering through that. And that's how we got into the battery recycling and also e-waste and growth recycling as well. Next slide, please. So you'll see here, it's just a bit of a graph which explains our group of companies. So you'll see there that we've got Ecocycle, and under that we've got Ecobat. So Ecobat is our battery recycling company. So we currently provide all of the recycling units in every supermarket nationally. So at the moment we have about 7,000 units for mixed household batteries, and that's all done through the battery stewardship scheme as well. And then you'll see we've got Eco e-waste. So we also process a lot of e-waste, and vapes is part of that e-waste with the embedded battery as well, which has become a really big issue, which is great to see RecycleSmart really get in there, and you saw how many vapes that they have. So it's a lot that gets collected, but unfortunately a lot of that's still going to landfill. So a bit of work needs to be done there, but we are getting there. And then you've got RecycleSmart. So RecycleSmart, as I explained, is our scrap metal company that we started off with. So we do have our own foundry in Tasmania, Castings Tasmania, and we also have ACL in Tasmania as well. So ACL, we basically create the blown powder that gets used to make ACL ball bearings, and that gets reused in the car manufacturing industry. Next slide, please. So our location, so we do have a national reach. We have sites in every state, not the territories at the moment, but we are working towards that. So of course we're EPA licensed and ISO certified. Currently we're recycling about 500 tonne, or we have a 500 tonne EPA licensed storage capacity, with 150 tonne electronically thermal monitored lithium storage. So we do have a lot of safety equipment put in place at our recycling plant. Obviously, when you're dealing with batteries, it is quite dangerous. So we've invested heavily into safety, not only for us on our sites, but you would have seen at RecycleSmart, Ricky showing that galvanized steel bin, which is UN rated and fireproof. So we do take safety very seriously. We have a fully automated sorting plant and a processing plant here in Campbellfield in Melbourne. We just also announced that we are in the process of building our $30 million lithium recycling plant. This will be, there'll be nothing like it in the southern hemisphere. So we really feel that with the quantity that we're seeing, we definitely need to up our game, and we feel like this will put us ahead of the future, just to keep us, a step ahead of, so we can get, take a lot of those batteries and keep them out of landfill. And we want those numbers to grow, obviously, as well. The capacity that we'll be able to do will be a lot quicker. We'll be able, for example, we can put 4 EV batteries through the plant, and that's our new plant that we're getting. Our other states are, of course, EPA licensed and ISO certified as well. They have a more manual pre-sorting stations currently. We do have fire safe storage at those sites as well, and all of our vehicles are company owned. They're DG licensed. Our drivers are also DG licensed as well to be able to transport and safely transport those dangerous goods from various sites. Next slide, please. So this is a photo of our sorting plant. So you'll see it basically, it goes up the chute that you see on the right-hand side. Once it goes up the chute, it goes through a magnet sorting, and it also has AI technology for sorting as well. So it does identify by shape, chemistry, size and weight. The initial capacity is about 1,000 kilos per hour, but our new plant would be able to do about 10,000 per hour. So it will be a lot quicker. We'll be able to process a lot more. And we could also do mobile phone sorting with that plant as well. So once everything goes through our processing plant, so we basically extract any precious metals, so any copper, cobalt. A lot of your older batteries are rich in those ingredients. Some of the newer batteries that are coming on the scene aren't, so the downstream process, the recovery can be lower. But then again, it's another reason why we're investing into this new plant. So basically, once we extract everything within our group of companies, we've created our own little circular economy. So a lot of our stuff will go to RecycleSmart to get processed there with the metals. And then eventually we end up with a black mass as well, which gets sold. Next slide, please. So you'll see here is a flow chart of our process. So it basically just explains what happens to the batteries. So you'll see there that we extract any ferrous and non-ferrous metals from the batteries. Any plastics, that generally goes to Visy for their waste to energy plants. So we don't believe in any wastage. They're next door to us. So any leftover plastics that can't be reused will go to that. And then, basically you're left with a cobalt lithium rich black sand that gets sold to various companies for remanufacturing purposes. Next slide, please. In terms of the X-rays, so RecycleSmart also collect a lot of X-rays. It's still a big thing at the moment because people are still clearing out what they have. Some companies still allow you to have your X-rays printed if you're wanting to as well. So we basically just sort through the X-ray films, get rid of any paper, anything like that. The waste film gets granulated, and then that granulated materials go into a bag. Those bags get dipped in a film chemical solution. which helps to basically extract the silver. So once the silver is extracted into the chemical solution, we capture that electrolyte, and then the silver is melted down and sold for remanufacturing, mainly into the jewellery industry. Next slide, please. And that is all from Ecocycle. Thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it. Thank you, RecycleSmart. We really love that we have partnered with such an amazing, innovative company that is doing things that are different, but very consumer friendly as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rhiannon, for this very informative presentation. Love to learn always a new thing or two on battery recycling and vapes and e-waste. So thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate you joining this webinar. Thank you again. Have a good rest of your day. I think I'll just hand over to Leila.
We back. Thank you, Ricky. That was really good to see the behind the scenes and understand a little bit more about how everything works. But if we're good to go, I'm gonna get started with the Q&A. We got a lot of questions about why equity crowdfunding. So I think it's a good way of getting started the Q&A. Why did you decide to do a CSF round instead of a VC round or debt or anything like that?
Yes, that's a really good question. I would love to hand over to Giorgio, who looks frozen at the moment. Giorgio, can you hear us? Yes, he's back. Giorgio, did you hear the question?
Sorry.
No, that's
No,
okay.
because my Wi-Fi died for a second. Sorry.
It's okay.
Doesn't work
Leila?
anymore, to someone else. Yes.
I can repeat the question.
Yes,
We have an investor asking why CSF instead of doing a VC round or a debt financing or any other source of funding.
Yes. So the reason to do CFF is that, the crowdfunding round is that actually helps us two different things. One is connecting us to new users, so really pushing our message out there, and so not only getting people investing in our company, but as well getting people using the service and getting awareness out there. This is probably one of the main reasons we did it. It's a brand that resonates to users, and that's why we wanted to. We had a great success last year, and so we came back for more because out of that we doubled our revenue. We got a lot of new users using us as a service, and therefore it's not just raising money, but it's getting people helping us building it across the country.
It definitely makes sense for your brand, especially because you talk a lot about community. And so that's a great way of getting people engaged and getting people to want the company to do well as well. So investors are more likely to tell their friends and family to use the services as well, which is obviously great for the company. As we're talking about your investors, we had a question about how many investors you currently have on your cap table.
So we have a few because of Birchal last year, but you have to consider that most of our investors are actually crowdfunding investors. And so in Australia, there is a rule where if you're a crowdfunding investor, you do not count towards the 50 maximum investors you can have on a cap table. And at the moment, Fred can dig into it, but I don't think we have more than 20 or probably even less, like 10, 15, because everyone else is a crowdfunding investor, which therefore doesn't count towards the limit. So our cap table is quite clean in that sense.
Fred, do you want to add anything to that, or are we good?
No, so in total, we have something like 950 investors. Most of them are retail investors. We have 3 professional investors that might be worth mentioning: Antler, Prisma Capital, and Brisbane Angels. So we don't only do retail investors. We also have some big names on our cap table.
Thank you. Going a little bit about the operational side, do any of your partners pay for the materials that you supply to them?
I will hand over this question to Ricky.
Yes, thanks for the question. At the moment, it's very, very small in terms of items we collect and rebates. I would say not payments in general. It's more like things like metal that you get some rebates for, but it's a very, very tiny percentage of revenue that we get.
Great. We had a few questions, and probably it's going to be Ricky as well answering, but I'm not sure. about how can you ensure that your drivers are being well paid? Because obviously the gig economy is one of the things that people talk a lot about is we don't want people to take advantage of the workers, essentially giving them an opportunity of getting a good job of making their own times. So how are you guys ensuring that this is happening?
You want to go, Eugenie? So as you mentioned, like we pay our drivers similar to Uber or Amazon Flex, and so they're all subcontractor for RecycleSmart. One of the good things about the gig economy, of course, is the flexibility they have, and so we need to be competitive in the marketplace. Otherwise, they can easily switch, and go work just for Uber rather than for RecycleSmart. One thing that is good for us is that recycling is also a passion for many of our drivers, and they stick with us for a long time, beside the dollar amount that they get, but yeah, as I mentioned before, so we need to be competitive when you're talking gig economy in the marketplace. So yeah, and they all get paid, as probably didn't mention earlier, they get paid per service provided, which is basically a route with a predetermined number of pickups they have to do during the day.
Awesome, thank you. Is there a solution for bulkier items? So obviously it's a small bag that you guys have currently. So do you have a solution for bigger materials?
I might take this one if that's okay. Cool. So yes, so that's a really great question. At the moment, we are accepting slightly bulkier items. So we have, if you try to book a pickup, you'll see a section that's called the plus item section as an individual. So there at the moment, we collect big electronics, we collect kids' bikes, we collect clunky cardboard that you can't fit in your bin. We also collect Yona beds in partnership with the brand. So these beds made of cardboard. And we are trying to add more items there. Actually, we have an exciting launch coming in this week, where we're going to trial the collection of small furniture that we will be donating to Vinnie's. So that's an exciting partnership we've been working on, and it's launching this week. And obviously, part of our roadmap is to try and get on bulkier items, definitely, because we know there's a need there. So that's for individuals, and then for businesses, we already are collecting bulkier items in the sense of collecting the items we have, like soft plastics, but in bigger volumes, like bales.
Awesome, thank you. Phyllis is asking, do you also educate your corporate clients about how to use less material? For example, Marley Spoon.
I love this question. That is definitely something we're very passionate about, and we definitely are triggering those conversations where we're talking to our business partners. Absolutely.
Beautiful. We had, similar as the last webinar, we had a lot of questions about, they're mentioning RecycleSmart, but yeah, RecycleSmart collapse, and we had a few questions about that. So I think in general, how do you see what happened there, and how are you guys addressing the company to make sure that you're not making the same mistakes?
Yeah, absolutely. So that is a very, very good question that we get often, obviously, and we love having it because it's great to see that people actually care about what exactly happens to the soft plastics. It's not just a matter of having them disappear. So although we won't comment on what happened to Recycle, what we are putting in place here at RecycleSmart to make sure that the same doesn't happen to us, it's a number of things, right? So for soft plastics, we are working with vetted recyclers. So at the moment, we're working with 2 recyclers in the soft plastic space. So APR Plastics, which is based in Victoria, they're using the pyrolysis technique to turn the soft plastics back into oil for a fully circular solution. So we've been working with them. We have also more recently partnered with Close the Loop, who is recycling soft plastics as well, and they're turning them into 2 different products. One is asphalt additive for the roads. The other one is to turn them back into plastics items like baskets, bottles, etc. So we're diversifying the number of soft plastics recyclers we're working with. I think that yesterday or Monday, Ricky had a meeting with another soft plastics recycler based in Western Australia to prepare for our launch there. So we are constantly looking for new solutions, and we are doing that at a moment where the soft plastics recycling capabilities of Australia is being built as well. So there's also this timing effect, right? Where all these facilities are being built and the capacity overall is expanding. And the last thing that we're doing is that we're constantly checking with our recyclers to make sure that they can accept and process the quantities that we're giving them, that they have all the necessary authorization to do so. And we are set up in a way where we can start collecting any item, not just of plastics, but any item, the moment where we don't have any recycler accepting them. So that's kind of the last thing that we're doing.
Thank you. Silvana is asking, do you have any plans to get involved in more parts of the supply chain than just item collection? So it's very clear that you guys are expanding in number of locations. So, but is that one of the options as well, that you can expand in the number of services or the supply chain that you serve?
I'll hand over that question to Giorgio.
Sorry, I was just muting myself. At the moment, we're not gonna consider expanding into the processing side of the business. It is highly technical and highly asset intensive. So we think there's a lot of partners out there we can leverage. And so we gotta focus on the collection, last mile collection piece. That's what we are really good at and where we are very competitive as well.
Thank you.
If that's a question. Thank you.
Will your expansion, since we're talking about this, into the regions be dependent on the recycling partners that you have available in those areas? And let's see if that's yes or no first.
Well, we are pretty much scoping out, like we will launch everywhere in Australia. So we already are launching everywhere and we already have kind of the partnership set up for that. So that
So this
definitely depends, but we sorted it out already. So it's done.
So this hasn't been a problem into expanding to a new area that you see that you don't have enough partners in?
It's definitely a logistical challenge, but it's something that we overcame and we sorted it out. So we might have to move things longer distances. For example, now we're using Victoria for processing soft plastics, but it's something that we found a way to do.
Awesome, thank you. What is your main source of income? And I think we can touch base on, I saw a few people asking, it's which one is more lucrative? Is that B2C, B2C? So if you can touch base on that, that'd be really good.
Giorgio?
If my Wi-Fi works, I would love to answer this question. At the moment, our margins are pretty much similar across the different channels. So direct to consumer, business to business, and government. We are charging $7 for a 40-liter bag. So a grocery shop bag, which is a sort of unit. And so, so margins are quite similar across it. Clearly, they change because we have very large pickups. We do discounts, like we charge a bit less for very large collections from large companies or government facilities. But otherwise, I would say that they're quite similar.
Awesome.
And to answer just to answer the part on the revenue split. So the split currently is 65% coming from the B2G channel, so the councils, 28% coming from B2C, so directly individuals like you and I, and 7% coming from B2B.
Thank you. How are you guys planning to involve investors into the key decisions of the business?
I'll start answering this one, and then Giorgio, you want to add if you want to. So the way we're involving investors, we are sending updates every month on like what's been happening in the business, the key milestone we've achieved, any challenges we have come across, any type of support that our investors could bring as well. So this is on a monthly basis. Then quarterly, I think, Fred, correct me if I'm wrong, we send a more of a financial update from the finance team, so they can see where the company is and where it's going. And then we haven't done it so far, but we are definitely planning to do it in the next year. And that's part of the exciting rewards that we've put together for new investors. We'll be organizing a yearly session, a virtual yearly session for all our investors above a certain amount, where we'll discuss all the achievements that we've gone through in the last 12 months, the plans for the future. And so we can answer any question, get any new ideas. That would be something that we're really looking forward to. And lastly, we're always very open to feedback. So any investor can reach out to anyone on the team, preferably Giorgio, obviously, with any ideas. I am personally in touch with a few of our investors who like to send me examples of things that they've seen in the press, etc. We love it. So yeah, that's the other way that we keep in touch with our investors.
Thank you. That's really good to know. Eugenie, how many of these warehouses do we have in operation, and what is the plan moving forward?
I'll hand this one over to Ricky.
Thank you. This warehouse is the biggest one we have. That's the main warehouse. Everything else in all other areas or states, they're much more of like units where we consolidate things before sending it off. But we have about 10 at the moment across 4 states.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's talk about vape. We had a lot of questions about, cool, you guys recycle vape. So what happens after you collect them?
It's a very emotional item. Yeah, Ricky, you want to take that one?
Yeah, so I think Rihanna touched on a little bit earlier, but basically vapes is still very manual intensive work. So they get dismantled, and each piece, I think there's like 6 or 7 pieces, they get recycled individually. So, but it's still a very expensive process and very manual. So yeah.
Thank you, Ricky. Let us know if that answers or if you guys are looking for more details, but I think this pretty much answers that. Have you ever had any government grants, and how much of they're asking about the existing revenue comes from that?
Giorgio?
No, we don't. We didn't get any grant to date yet, unless I'm wrong, Fred, but I'm pretty sure we didn't. We never got a grant. So yeah, all our revenue comes from actually running the business and not from government grants.
Or from hard work? We had a few questions about valuation. So obviously we're not going to go into details of that, and everyone has access to the offer document now that they can have a better look at the deal. But do you want to touch base on how did you come across this number? How was the decision-making process?
Definitely a question for you, Giorgio, and with Fred's support. Giorgio is frozen. Okay. Definitely some connection trouble over there. Fred, do you want to take on that question, or we jump onto the next one? Then we come back to Giorgio's question.
Get taken into account in the investment. I think I can answer that for you. So you obviously still have that investment, but now if you want to reinvest in the company, is also a possibility. So they are 2 separate rounds. They have different goals with each one of the capital that they have raised. So before they were raising for specific purposes that they already achieved, so they could double the revenue, double the impact, and expand to B2B as well, that they didn't have it before. So now they're looking for extra capital to do other things. So if you guys want to touch base on that, I'm happy to.
Thank you. And so Giorgio is back online, so maybe we can go back to the question about valuation. Giorgio, in a nutshell, there are a few questions about valuation, how we came up with that number, if you want to answer.
Yeah, so last year we raised pretty much half the $50 million, and we were a Sydney business collecting pretty much soft plastics and doing $1 million in revenue. This year the number is, it's as you see on the investment offer, is around $30 million, and we are across Australia. We have much more traction. We opened 2 new channels, so B2 direct to consumer and businesses, and we are doing $2 million growing in terms of annual recurring revenue, and we collect much more items, right? And we have a whole warehouse operations that we didn't have last year. So the business is very different, and I will say that we are in a scale-up phase, while last year we were like on the brink of it. So yeah, that's how it came. So it's based on past history, plus we raised in March from high net worth individuals at $25 million valuation. So that's the other round that we had before this one.
Oh, we had a very specific question about the quantity of shares that the top 10 shareholders hold. I'm gonna please ask you, Matthew, to have a look at the offer doc, but if they have further questions, who should they talk to? Probably Giorgio? Yeah,
Yes, absolutely. At the very end of a document, there's an email address they can reach out to, and there's for Giorgio's phone number.
Call me.
Giorgio loves to talk about the phone, so please go ahead.
It works better than Zoom, so yes.
Great.
it has been a nightmare today, but we're getting there, guys. We're almost at the end of the webinar, so we can make it work. Cool. We still have a lot of questions about soft plastic, and I don't want to make this a recurring question, but after you get the soft plastic and what happens after that?
Sure. So soft plastics are bales in the warehouse. As you might have seen, we have those big bales. So they are, so first they're collected. We make sure that there is no contamination in it. They are compacted to make sure that we are optimizing the space in the warehouse and on the truck as well. And once these bales are, we have enough bales in the warehouse, they are sent to our recycling partners. And then those recycling partners will first store them to consolidate and have enough quantities to run through their machine.
Beautiful. I had a question if it's worth to invest a smaller amount for the individual investing if they don't have $10,000 or so to invest, but would like to get involved.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the beauty of the crowdfunding campaign. You can invest from as little as $250, and that will still give you equity in our company, and that will still support what we do. And I think that's definitely one of the perks of this kind of campaign. That's everyone can be involved regardless of the amount of cash that they have available. So yeah, any little contribution is obviously accepted.
I'm sending you the link as well. I mentioned 1,000 times, once more, we have a CSF offer doc. You have all the information about the company there. Please do your research. Take your time to analyze all the numbers and make your decision. Longer term, assuming profitability is achieved, what is the plan? Is the IPO, is dividend? I can answer that. It's obviously a very early stage of the business, and ASIC is very vocal about what we can and we cannot offer investors at this stage. So Matthew, please have a look at the offer doc, call investors, call Giorgio afterwards if you want to have a chat about that. And I think we can land it in here for this question. Jillian is asking, so far the operations seems very manual, rely on people to do almost all of the sorting. What is the plan when the business scale 50 times from here?
Ricky, what's your plan?
Yeah, good question. I think the first step will be to really upgrade our balers, because obviously, like it is, as you saw before, very manual. And so there are much bigger machines. They basically automate the whole process, so that would save us a lot of time. In terms of sorting, like we would still do the sorting, the manual sorting at each pickup location when we do the collection, because we collect, we have 100 different items that people can recycle with us. So there is still some sort of manual sorting that needs to be done on the spot. But that's very quick, I would say. Like it doesn't take too long, and most of our users, they want to do the right thing in the first place, so they kind of nicely separate it for us. Especially the small items they left, on the side for our drivers. So yeah.
Ricky, we have 2 more questions that probably you're going to be the best one to answer. So one, very interesting, I've never seen this before. Is there a recycling option for hair from pet grooming?
Not that I know of.
I didn't, but yeah, I haven't thought of this before. But Lisa, if you want to give us more details on that, or if you're seeing anyone overseas doing that, how the idea came about, would be interesting to see. And Ricky, do we export any of the recycling, or is it all taken by the local recyclers?
The vast majority is taken by local recycler. I think the only thing that is exported in some areas is unwearable clothes, which they go to our partner in Malaysia. It's an ISO accredited facility. And yeah, so that in some areas it's going there.
Perfect, thank you. Eugenie, what is the competitive threat that you guys have?
The competitive threat? Yeah, well, so it will depends on the channel, obviously. So we do have, when it comes to, I'll take them channel by channel. Overall, there is no company that does all the things that we do across the whole channels, and doing that on so many items. At the moment, we are collecting 100+ items, and we are the only one to propose that service. So the clear advantage that we have for our customers is to be the one-stop shop when it comes to recycling the tricky items. They don't have to manage different suppliers, and that is valid for individuals, for businesses, and for councils. Now, obviously, we do have a bit of competition, otherwise there would be no fun in the game. So we have a competitor in the B2G space who has entered very recently, copying exactly what we're doing. So we are just like pursuing what we're doing and trying to make our customers as happy as possible. Our edge there is definitely, again, the fact that we are servicing across 3 channels and that we have a very strong brand. So we are the only one in the market to have a brand that speaks directly to consumers in the waste space. You might have seen it already, but we have a strong presence on social media. We're trying to be fun, pink. Thank you, Ricky, for wearing the vest, and Leila, actually, you're very on brand, and engaging as well. So, and that is really something that we are the only one to do. So that was one of our competitors. Then obviously we often get asked, how do we position ourselves versus the existing drop-off points that are existing in stores where you can drop your pens at Officeworks, for example? That is definitely part of the competition, but again, it's not the same because we offer the convenience of collecting all those items directly from your doorstep. So it's a bit different. And lastly, the last thing I would like to say is the recycling issue is so big in Australia that we need different solutions. So it's great to have also drop-off solutions. So yes, I think I have answered the question.
The answers, and touch basing on that, Gabriela is asking what incentives are there for customers to pay for the service. So if I don't care about recycling, are we doing anything about these customers? And I think when you answer that, it would be really good to talk about the investor rewards that you're offering as well.
Yes. Okay, let's do it. So the incentive for customers, first of all, to book a pickup. So we are trying to explain why, and so why they should recycle, where it's all going, to create some trust and transparency as well, because we know it's kind of looking at the moment in Australia, the likes of recent scandals, and we're offering them the ability to see their impact. So when you book a pickup and it's done in your account, you can see, it's very visual, how many kilograms of waste you've diverted from landfill, what impact it has in terms of CO2 emissions. So that's very tangible. So we're trying to push through that educational piece, kind of. We're also partnering with brands to find a way so that it becomes a bit cheaper for users to book the pickup. So we have lots in the pipeline, including a very super duper exciting one, but nothing is signed yet. So we'll have to hold on that name for now. But yeah, we're definitely working hard on that space because we feel that as individuals, people need more incentive to jump on board. So I think that answered the first part of the question. And then when it comes to investor rewards, yes, we're very excited. We have worked hard to deliver some investor rewards that we hope you're going to find exciting. They're all visible at the moment on our offer page. But in a nutshell, during the first 48 hours of this campaign, which has started an hour and a half ago, we will be planting 1 tree for each investor that invests during this period. So that's kind of an on top reward on top of the other ones. And then in the other rewards, so we have 7 different tiers depending on how much you're going to invest in RecycleSmart. And depending on the tier, you will have access to a certain number of free power pickups so that you can enjoy from your place. Then we have been adding an annual impact report, so you can actually see the impact that your money well invested is having on the environment. We also are creating the virtual event I was mentioning a bit earlier, where once per year we'll keep you updated on what exactly happened in the business, how the future is going to look like, and get all your feedback and ideas. And then for higher tiers, we'll be organizing a VIP recycling experience, so a tour of our main consolidation point in Sydney, with founders, so Giorgio and Marco. And then for the top tiers, so above $10,000, there will also be a special lunch with Giorgio and Marco to talk about all things recycling.
Awesome, thank you. So Gabrielle, I hope this answers your question, but definitely for a company that is saying if you invest in us in the first 48 hours, we're planting trees, we're doing all of that, I would see this as a big education piece as well for the entire database that they have. Since we're talking about sustainability, we had a few questions about carbon emissions and what is the current status and what is the strategy to work towards net zero emissions.
I will hand that one over to Marco.
We are like, this is like about the carbon emissions, right? So yeah, like our company is already like partnered like with a company called Trace, which is which is actually like offsetting all our emissions for our drivers right now. So like we are actually like offsetting exactly like all our emissions. And in terms of like, of course, expanding like in the future, we are trialing like we are not trialing, well, like we have like in the pipeline to adjust like our technical implementations in order to minimize as much as possible all the impacts that we have on the road. This is like the first steps, and then of course like all our as well as like yes, from a driver point of view, yes, like that's exactly what we're going to be doing.
Thank you, Marco. Does any trace, any amount of waste that you collect ended up on landfill? And if yes, do you know the percentage of that?
Question for Ricky.
Yes, thank you. No, we generally don't collect anything that will go to landfill. That's not what we do. So if residents leave in our bags stuff that we don't collect, we will leave it behind and notify them so that at least they know for next time. So we wouldn't take it back to our consolidation point. We do have, of course, because of the EPA, we have a small general waste bin here at the warehouse. Gets empty once a month, but this is just for emergency, literally. Nothing we collect from residents.
Thank you, Ricky. Eugene, since you're partnering with some consuls, do you also consider partnering with hospitals around the country?
Marco, you want to take that one?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, yeah, like there's no limits in that sense, like to the partners that we are after. The medical equipment is a challenging one. There's a lot of regulations around it. Like it's not something that can be taken lightly, like any other of the items that we collect. But definitely there's a lot of focus and attention, and that they are producing, as we know, a lot of let's call it waste. But and I'm not the expert in this, like I don't think that there's like a lot of programs like right now on the territory that are like specifically recycling a lot of those specific items that like the hospitals are in need. But yeah, having said that, like of course, like we would love to help like any sort of like a business to do better, and yeah, and hospitals like are definitely one of those.
So it is a big opportunity for you guys too.
I'm happy to jump in as well, right? So in hospitals, there are two different types of waste. The one we can service, commercial waste, soft plastics, polystyrene, all the stuff, coffee pods, coffee cups, right? We can do that. And we're already targeting, organizations like even hotels, right? And then there is the medical waste, which is a complete different thing and needs to be treated by companies which have a license for it, and it's a very different game. We're not playing into that. So, but we can definitely help hospitals for the commercial side of it, which is, the non-dangerous, non-hazardous waste, such as soft plastics that is not contaminated and that kind of item. So it's two different streams. We can help on the commercial side. We don't do the medical waste.
Beautiful, thank you. Thanks for clarifying. We have a few questions about the consuls that you partner with. So How long is the partnership for? So do you already have a end date on that? And what can people do in order to their consuls to partner with you?
Giorgio, you want to take that one?
Yeah. So in general, councils, we can work with every council that wants to work with us. So there's two different ways to partner with councils. One is for a big drop-off, so for big quantities in their own recycling centers, and the other way is to provide the service for free to their residents. And we are talking to a lot of different councils across the country that are coming on board. Clearly, working with the government takes a bit of time because of the regulations that they have to go through and processes, but we are working on it.
Thank you. Had a few investors asking about each one's role in the company, and I know that you covered that on the presentation. You want to touch base very quickly, one sentence, each one of you, name, role, what do you do?
Great idea. Just realized we didn't introduce ourselves. Sorry about that. All right, Marco, you want to go first?
Say it again, sorry, because I was breaking up a little bit.
Introduce yourself. One
You.
sentence.
Okay.
One sentence.
What
What's
do you
your job?
do?
No. Yes, like it's Marco here, co-founder and CTO. Like I take care of everything that is technical. Like so, we handle a lot of like users on our traffic on our like website. So we have like website apps and a lot of education like materials that we ship like on many different platforms. And so that's what I overlook and take care of.
Awesome, thank you. Well, Giorgio, I think it's quite obvious. You are CEO and co-founder. We can jump onto Fred,
Finance manager, so looking at everything finance.
the number guy, and then Ricky.
Yes, thank you. I'm Ricky, and I'm in the operations team. So anything that has to do with collections, systems around logistics and operation. Yeah.
And I'm Eugenie. I'm in the marketing team and overseeing the sales team as well. So looking after anything branding, communication, marketing in general, sales and customer service.
Thank you. And to finish up, first, let's go back to the pet hair, just for your knowledge, Ricky. She said that you can hang a little cage outside for birds and use it for building nests as well. So apparently, instead of just putting on the compost bin, we live, we learn. Am I right?
We do. Thank you, Katie. By the way, that's the tip coming from Katie, our incredible content manager. That's how passionate we are about the topic.
Thank you, Katie, for asking these questions.
No, she's answering it. That's why.
Oh, she was the one answering. I didn't even realize. Thank you. Last question. Which area do you see the biggest growth now? So do you think it's going to be from B2B, B2C? After getting this capital, we're going to be investing most of your time and money in?
Roger?
So the focus is clearly on B2B and B2C. As you can see, since last year, they've been growing multiple times over. And therefore, that's where we want to invest our resources, because that's where the growth of the next phase of growth will come from. So organizations and direct to consumer. Still working with councils, but focusing more on these two channels.
Awesome. That brings us to the end of the webinar. Thank you so much for everyone to join. We have hundreds of people online here in the middle of your workday. So we really appreciate your time. Thank you, RecycleSmart team. It's been great working with you. The offer is open now. So if you have any questions, jump on board, ask us. Giorgio is going to be available as well as the entire team. And if there's anything related to Birchal, please let us know in the chat. We're online the entire day as well to help you out. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.